Okay, students, welcome to your lesson 11 for course 3, and today's topic is percents. So get out your notebook, the title. You want to take all the notes that I tell you to take. You want to write down all the examples, and at the end you're going to do a whisk on this one and the practice set. So let's get started. Today we're going to talk about the word percents, and percent means per 100. So write that down. That's what percent means, per 100. The denominator 100 is indicated by the word percent or by the symbol, the percent sign. And 100% is equal to 1 whole. And these are some common examples of percents here that you can draw in your notes. We have 25% here. This is 25%, which is the same thing as 1/4. We have 50%, which is right here. 50% means 50 out of 100, which reduces to 1/2. Then we have 75% and 100%. You can see that 100% is a whole. We also have an example here that you should write down, 5%. 5% means 5 out of 100. So to take a number with a percent sign, you're going to take the percent sign away and put it over 100, and then you reduce it, and 5/100ths reduces to 1/20th. So let's do some examples and talk a little bit more about percents. All right, here is example 1, so write this down. We're going to take each percent and write it as a reduced fraction. So let's start with 1%. 1%. All you do is drop the percent sign, put it over 100, and that is a reduced fraction. For B, we have 10%, so we're going to take the 10, drop the percent sign, put it over 100, and then we're going to reduce this by dividing the top and the bottom by 10, and the reduced fraction is 1/10. The last one is 100%. Drop the percent sign, put the 100 over a denominator of 100, and that reduces to 1. All right, so let's go to example 2. In example 2, it tells us that another way to write a fraction as a percent, you want this in your notes, is to find an equivalent fraction with a denominator of 100. So what they mean is you would take, and this is your example, you would take 1/4. In order to write it as a percent, you're going to write it first as a fraction with a denominator of 100. So if I multiply this by 25 and that by 25, I get 25 over 100. And because the denominator is 100, we know that that's 25%. So example 2 has 3 different fractions that we can do in this same way. So write down number or letter A. You have 3/4. I'm going to make that into a fraction with 100 as a denominator. I multiply the top and the bottom by 25 each. I'd get 75 over 100. Because the denominator is 100, I know that that is 75%. Same thing with 3/5. Multiply the denominator by 20, the numerator by 20, and you get 60 over 100. And 60 over 100 is the same thing as 60%. The last one is 3/10. Take 3/10 and turn it into 30 over 100 by multiplying the top and the bottom by 10, and you get 30%. So that's just another way of writing a fraction as a percent by changing the denominator to 100 and writing it as an equivalent fraction with the denominator of 100. All right, let's look at some more. All right, so another way, you want to write this down, another way to convert a fraction to a percent is to multiply the fraction by 100%. Okay, so let's take 2/3 and let's multiply that fraction by 100 over 1, 100% over 1. I multiply the top and I get 200%, and the bottom I get 3. But now I have to divide that out. And when I take 200% and I divide it by 3, I get 66 2/3%. And that's the way I can take 2/3, and that equals 66 2/3%. Alright, so this strategy, multiplying by 100%, is good when you have a denominator such as these. If you look at these denominators, they do not go evenly into 100, so you can't make an equivalent fraction with a denominator of 100 with these. So that's why this strategy is to multiply by 100%. So let's look at A. We've got a third. We're going to multiply by 100% over 1. That gives me 100 over 3, and if I divide that out, take the 100, remember the top number goes in the box, divide that out, I get 33 and a third percent. Same thing with 5/6, multiply by 100%, I get 500 over 6, again take the 500 and divide that by 6, and you would get 83 and 1/3 percent. Lastly, we have 3/8. Multiply again by 100 over 1. You get 300 over 8. Take the 300 and divide it out by 8, and you would get 37.5%. And again, this strategy works when you have a denominator that will not go evenly into 100. All right, for example 4, we're going to write each percent as a reduced fraction. So write this in your notes. So we're going to take a percent, we're just going to go backwards. So we take 4% and drop the percent sign, put it over 100, so you have 4 hundredths, then reduce it to 1/25. Be careful when you reduce, make sure you're dividing the top and the bottom by the same number. For B, we have 40%, so I take the 40, put it over 100, then that reduces to 2/5. Now I have a weird one, and this might confuse you a little bit, but I have 33 and a third percent. So what we did on this one is we converted it to an improper fraction, the method that I call popcorn, but you multiply 3 times 33, that gives me 99, add 1, you get 100. So now I have 100 over 3%. Okay, so I have a percent. Now, in order to, what I need to do is I need to put it over 100, right? So the way I do that is I do 100 over 3 times 100. So I'd get 100 over 300. Then that reduces to 1/3. These are a little confusing on that one. Okay, let's go on. You have 2 more examples. Okay, now in word problems, you're going to be asked to find percent of numbers. So in order to do that, you want to write this down. This is the same thing as example 5 right here. So what we're going to do is to perform calculations with percents, we must first convert the percent to a fraction or decimal, and then we're going to multiply. You always want to multiply. This word of, when you see that word of, that means to multiply. So we'll take 40% of the 30 students rode the bus. So what you want to do with that 40%, you want to convert it to either a percent, I'm sorry, it is a percent. You want to convert it to a fraction or a decimal. In this case, what we did is we took 40%, I do 40 over 100, so that makes it a fraction, then I reduce that fraction to 2/5, then I'm going to multiply the 2/5 of 30 means to multiply, so then I would take 2/5 and I would multiply times 30. And in order to do that, you put 30 over 1, you can cross reduce, and you get 12. So 12 of the students rode the bus. Remember, on percent problems, you're not really dividing, you're going to multiply. All right, the last, a quart is what percent of a gallon? Write that down. A quart is what percent of a gallon? Well, since 4 quarts equals a gallon, then a quart is 1/4 of a gallon. And all we want to know is what percent is that. So if you have a fourth, we're going to convert the fourth to a percent. So make the denominator 100. So 4 goes into 125 times. You end up with 25 over 100, which is 25%. So a quart is 25% of a gallon. All right, I think that's it. So now your job is to do 2 things. One, you need to do a whisk, and I'll show you what that is. A W means tell us when and where you watched the video. and write this in at the end of your notes. S, summarize the video. Give me some of the strategies that you just learned and rewrite those down. So you're summarizing what you just learned. And Q is if you have any questions on the video, or if you don't have any questions, then you can make up like a test question from the video, and that needs to be in your notes. And then we have the practice set, so work on these problems and be ready to go over them in class. All right, have a great day, and I'll see you tomorrow.